it is still happening in our world that religious folks blame victims of problems. So, we heard Pat Robertson again, as he did, I think it was at 9/11, I think he was the same one, who said the 9/11 disaster was a disaster that our country deserved for its bad, horrible, immoral life, and we deserved it. And now has said that the Haitian people deserve the earthquake because they went into a pact with the devil. In the Bible that I read, God does the judging. And it seems to me that it is highly inappropriate for religious figures to say and to claim we speak enough for God that we can tell you what kind of judgment God is in any given situation, that God is pronouncing judgment on that particular group of people. Are we going to say every time someone has a heart attack, a cancer, or there's a train wreck, or whatever else, that this is God's intended disaster? What kind of terror would that not generate among all people everywhere? Then anytime you sneeze, you have to start saying, is God out after me? I would hope if the reign of God is alive and well, that religious folks wouldn't be generating that kind of terror in the lives of people. Now, one could say, well, nice dreams, Pastor, but what does this have to do with God? What did changing water into wine have to do with God? The life that exists in our world becomes a picture for what we as people of God think the world ought to look like. People running out of wine. People being in sad situations. Should that really be? Is that what God intends? What the gospel lesson is doing is giving a picture that says, no, not even the social disaster of not having enough wine for the wedding party, not even that is something that God is unconcerned about and say, well, you didn't plan well, dummies. Next time you'll learn better, right? Instead, it says, it's a picture that says God is concerned about what happens to people. It does so in terms of the ancient promises that there would be an overflowing abundance when the Messiah came. If we as the people of God understand who God is, if we live with the kinds of dreams that Martin Luther King lived with, if we live with the kinds of things that says people everywhere ought to get the same kinds of opportunities, that Haiti should not have been the poorest group of people in the Western Hemisphere. Now those are horribly complex situations to solve. You can't go in and say, here, let me show you how to run this show, and I'll straighten you up in a hurry. We'll fix everything. We've never been very good at fixing everybody else's problems. It won't work. But then that does say that as we work to help people, as we work for justice, as we work for balance in our society in the ways that people get sentenced and arrested, and whether it happens by color, whether people, male and female, get the same pay for the same work, as we as Christians work for those things to happen, we are demonstrating something about our vision of who is God. And yes, we will not generate the perfect society. We will not get a perfect government. We will not get all businesses to operate completely fairly and we can all live happily ever after. That's a fairy tale world, and it's not going to happen. But as we work for that, we give to the world around us the same vision that Jesus gave when he changed water into wine. God cares. God's letting you know that the kingdom is on the way, and we can live with some hope. The hour would come. Jesus says, my hour, in this lesson, my hour is not yet. This is not why he came. In John chapter 12, and then again in 13, and for the rest of the chapter, the rest of John, he says, now is the hour for the Son of Man to be glorified. And he goes to the cross. This is not a disaster. He says that's why he was born, to Pilate. He came to do this. He came to deal with the world that Pilate couldn't fix. We can't fix with a good government. We can't fix with better business. We can't make the perfect society. But it does say, in the face of all of the inability of human beings to get outside of our sinfulness, that one, there is a God who will forgive. That's the hour that Jesus came to demonstrate. That kingdom was on the way was demonstrated by the overabundance of wine and other things that God cared about what happened at a silly little wedding up in the boondocks. That we live to show that same kind of image to the people around us in our world, to protest when economics are not fair, to protest when racial issues still divide, that we give that same kind of image, says to the world around us, God cares, and that the reign of God is in fact on the way. Are there imperfections? Yes. But for that, we have a world that still needs God's forgiveness. And the one whose hour was in process when Jesus changed water into wine is the one who offers that forgiveness and grace that we need. Amen.